Hi, Bonbon here. Now, this is a video I've been asked to make several times in the past, not just over the last few months, but over the last couple of years. What would I like to see in a speculative Cities Skylines 2 game? And it's something that I've been putting off because, well, of course, your thoughts constantly change, and I can make a video and then have some more thoughts in 6 months' time or a year's time and then make another video, and it gets messy. So I've been putting it off, just like stewing on my thoughts for the longest time. But I think I might be now running out of time. Now, at the time of recording, I am a couple of days ahead of PDXCon Remixed, where there's a very strong chance there will be an announcement about Cities Skylines. Now, you're ahead of me because I'm recording this now, at my time, but I'm not going to be releasing it until Sunday night, which is going to be basically when PDXCon Remixed is finishing. So if there has been a Cities Skylines announcement, you know more than I do. Let's just say I'm not expecting Cities Skylines 2 anytime soon. But gut feeling is I think it's coming. I think they've sat around the table and maybe they've started working on the base, on the foundations that everything is built upon. That's my gut feeling. There may be a DLC coming. There may be. I mean, be nice. It's always nice to have more DLC, I think. But Cities Skylines 2, my understanding of coding. Now, remember, I am not a programmer. I'm not a games writer. Have a little bit of programming experience, but it is all self-taught from the late 1980s, Spectrum Basic, and I understand that it's the same sort of principle these days, only a lot less basic. Yeah. But I didn't just write the go-to 10. No, I didn't just write that one. I made an art program. I made a Formula 1 management simulator, which was fun to make, and it was boring as hell to play. It's not easy making a game. I thought it was amazing, and then I tried to play it, and it really was boring. But anyway, the point is, it takes some time to write a game, and so to develop a game, 3 to 5 years, I understand, is the typical sort of like timescale, and so they probably won't start making that until they've finished making the last work, and the last work came out, which was March 2020, which was Sunset Harbour. And so from that point onwards, when everything started going to the world started going to lockdown, which of course makes it harder for them to work together as a team, but it also means that there's plenty of time for people to work. So you kind of get that balance of on or off. If they started working on Cities Skylines 2, sitting around the table doing the brainstorming and all that sort of stuff, from the beginning of April of last year, we are 1 year into development of Cities Skylines 2. If. It's all if. And then we can expect another 2 years from today. So 2021, I would say the earliest we could expect a Cities Skylines 2 would be May 2023. And I would say that would be the earliest. That's not me saying it's coming out then. I think it could be anywhere from May 20. Now, I don't think it'll be then, because that's just 3 years. And I think a game like Cities Skylines 2, I'm hoping it is built beyond expectations. So I would say more like 5 years would be like a proper triple A-list game. Grand Theft Auto 6 will be 5 or 6 years of development, yeah, probably. Whereas I think Cities Skylines 2, maybe 4 to 4.5 years, maybe, speculative again. So maybe 2024. We are still some way from it. So, given that I think we're still some way from it, here is my list of things that I would like to see in it. I know it's taken me 4 minutes to get to this, but I think I'm trying to cover all the bases as I go along, so people don't mistake anything that I say as being, Bonbon thinks the game's coming out soon. He doesn't. He never has. And he's going to be proven wrong. It's going to be announced for August, isn't it? It's going to be announced for August. You know that already. I haven't got a clue. In the background, by the way, because I kind of threw this recording together pretty quickly. For me, this weekend is Christmas weekend. I finally get the time to spend with my family after Christmas was locked down here in the UK, and we've been waiting for the restrictions to be dropped that we can meet as a family. And this weekend I am losing most of my day, most of my recording day, to sitting with the family. Now I'm happy to do that, but it means that I'm at the moment cramming in lots of videos for next week, because I'm just not going to have any recording schedule, and Heightmap has to continue. So I haven't had the time for this video to put lots of fancy demonstrations, like how I would want the game. It's not that polished video that I wanted it to be, with like when I say, and I'd like to see like steam trains like this. I'm not digging out images of steam trains or anything like that. By the way, that's not part of my wish list. But I haven't had time to put that together. So what you're seeing right now is a vanilla asset build on Flatopolis by Anoupou Merynetjerou. Link to that map is in the description. I am using mods in the build, things like Demand Master, that sort of stuff, just to make it an easier build. And I'm laid down all the pipes and all that sort of stuff. So basically, I've just got to zone in the buildings and let it grow. So that's what you're looking at down below right now. My apologies. It's just the best thing I could think of doing. That was easy. Wasn't going to take hours to do. Right. So 12 things that I would like to see in Cities Skylines. I'm not going to be doing numbers on the screen or anything like that. We'll just roll as we go along. So start off with, and again, this is down to the technical side of it, the coding, the game engine, that sort of thing. Now, we all know the Cities Skylines is not the most efficient of games. When the city starts getting really busy, then everything slows down and your frame rate drops down. And again, there are people with bigger brains than me, like most of you, but I understand this is down to inefficient use of cores. I'm told Cities Skylines is optimized for 4 cores. I've read also that it only uses 2 cores. Now, I don't know whether there's truth in that. What I do know that is if it's optimized for 4 cores and you have, say, 16 cores, that's not very efficient. You could be running the system. You could be running that game a lot more efficiently if it could. Now, I believe that this is because the game is built on the Unity engine. Now, if it is that's the thing. I mean, the Unity engine's a great thing. There are some really great games built on the Unity engine. Cities Skylines is one of them. I don't think it's really suited to a game with almost limitless sandbox modes like Cities Skylines, which is of course why we originally only given 9 tiles to build on by the game developers, because the Unity engine wasn't going to really allow for much more than that, and they didn't want us, the gamers, building a city, getting to like 9.5 tiles worth of city, and then the game crashing because it had run out of nodes or buildings. They didn't want that, so they limited us at 9 tiles. Not because they are mean, but because the game engine restricted us to that. So obviously what I would want from the next game is for it to be able to handle more complex agent behavior, such as like mid-traffic lane changing. If a car realizes there's a traffic jam ahead but there's an empty lane on the right, it will move into the empty lane. Little things like that. I mean, it's still got limitations. AI has got limitations. We know that for now. I'm working on it. But what we could have is a better optimized game, which I think means not using the Unity engine. Now, I do not have any other suggestions. Maybe somebody is building a proprietary engine that Cities Skylines will actually be built on its own thing, where everything is unlimited. Wouldn't that be great? So that's something that I would like. That's kind of point number 1. I'd like to move away from, if the Unity engine is, and I understand that it is, but I don't know because I'm not an expert, if the Unity engine is the cause of the game running slowly and having limitations, to move away from the Unity engine and maybe have a proprietary engine, or one that is better suited to a sandbox city builder game such as Cities Skylines. Point 2, I guess, more immersive realism, as in the graphics. and the animations. Now, what we have is excellent. Honestly, it's excellent. Even the vanilla. If you turn back the clock, let's turn back the clock 6 years to when Cities Skylines came out. You and I were wowed. We were wowed. We were amazed. We'd not seen anything quite like this. So we cannot turn back. We cannot judge today by 6 years ago. We can't. Especially now we've had time. We've got all of the top asset designers. I'm not even going to begin to name names. You know who you are if you're watching this one. The possibilities are endless, and it's been proven. It's been shown. The assets we had back in game launch are very cartoony feeling now compared to what we've got available. There are some that hold up, don't get me wrong, there are some that hold up and that I would still use in a city build, so there is that. But some of them are very, yeah, you got it. Let's not talk about donuts, huh? And the animations as well. The animations are fine. They're absolutely fine. They do for what they need to do, and you can't moan about it. But I think certainly an improved quality of the animations, like say just the people walking animation, is fine. It does, but yeah, just like a more polished walking, maybe different variations of the walking animation, and so on. So anyway, more immersive realism like that one. But what we have now is of course, it's cool already. I'd just like to see more. Then I suppose I am kind of numbering these as I go along. I haven't written down numbers on my sheet, so this is why I said I weren't going to number them. But let's go with number 3. I'd like obvious, and this goes without saying. I'm saying I'd like this. These will be in Cities Skylines 2. I would like Cities Skylines 2 to incorporate or to have their own variation of the best mods from Cities Skylines 1. And ideally for the people that develop those mods to get a small gratuity for it, you know. Because things like Move It, classically Move It, Find It, it's a search engine in the game. Come on. We need the search engine in the game. And Traffic Manager President Edition, I feel that all of these things are I think they're a must-have. I think when Cities Skylines 2 comes out, I think there will be a Move It function. I think there will be a Find It function. I think there will be a limited Traffic Manager function. I suspect they will hold back on certain aspects of it and then release those as DLC. I wouldn't blame them. I would not blame them. But as long as like the basics are in there to be able to control traffic lights, to be able lane management, those sort of things. And I think certainly adding the extra things later as DLC, I think that's goes without saying. Right, so let's have point 4. Point 4. Right, so the wealth of custom assets that we have available to us at the moment in Cities Skylines is amazing. It's huge. It's absolutely freaking huge. I mean, I've covered thousands of them on a Wattmap and on the Steam chart show, or Cities Skylines chart show as they call it now. It would be a shame if we lost all of them. Now, I know that Cities Skylines 2 is probably going to be a different ratio. It's not going to be the 81 tiles that we're working with now. It might be a bigger map. We'll get to that. We're going to get to that. It might be a bigger map. It might be different resolution. But a 1-to-1 on today's maps should still work across to a 1-to-1 on the new map. I think it should translate. It should, in my head. You know, we're still going to have, I mean, the buildings feel life-size in the game now, and the buildings will feel life-size in the game then. And we've got hundreds of thousands of assets, and a lot of them it would be a shame to lose. So it would be very nice if we could have an easy way to import the models of the assets off of Cities Skylines 1. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody who'll mod this to find a way of like converting them across, but I would like to see it built into the game. so that we'll have a Cities Skylines 2 workshop. We will. But to be able to go into Cities Skylines 1, say, oh, I like that. Now, I do understand that the what's the word I'm looking for? The attributes of the buildings will change. They will. There'll be a whole bunch of different attributes like at the moment we have. Does it produce pollution levels? How many people a house will accommodate, and those sort of things. There will be different attributes. So I understand that transferring the attributes from Cities Skylines 1 to Cities Skylines 2 won't work. And I haven't got an answer for it, again, because I'm not a genius. But there are geniuses out there. I'm looking at you, kid. There are geniuses out there that would say, right, okay, well, there'd be a way for if you put that model into a category, say you've got a bungalow, you could put it into a category of low density residential, small, and then there'd be low density residential, or whatever, we have categories in the game already. So maybe when you import the model across, you drag it into a category, and that category gives that model a base set of attributes, which you can then in-game recode them, change them in-game to what would actually work, because the in-game might just say, this bungalow will host a family of 4, and then you look at it and it's like a tiny little shotgun or a caravan. And I know you can get 4 people living in a caravan, but you might look at the caravan and go, actually no, this is just a 2-person property. And so being able to easily change it when you import it across. So yes, I would love to see a way of importing the models and then easily updating the attributes of these assets into Cities Skylines 2 from Cities Skylines 1, because there's a wealth of custom assets, and to start from scratch feels like a travesty. It really does. Right, point 6 are we now? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is why I didn't want to number them. I think we're at point 5. Anyway, yes. Next one, land ownership. Right, at the moment we're working on basically a grid. Okay, I'm not going to explain the grid to you. Yeah, we are 9 tiles by 9 tiles, and then we've got the little cells. The buildings are from 1 by 1 up to a 4 by 4, and then we've got the Rico ones, which are larger, but nothing larger than a 4 by 4. I'm not saying I want larger than 4 by 4 buildings, although I want larger than 4 by 4 buildings. I want the buildings not to be grid based. Now, I was playing Ostriv a year or so ago, and the way that handled boundaries was very neat. It would actually put in and work out where it felt the fences, the boundary lines of the houses were. I did hear that this is called land parceling or something like that, and it's not just gardens. It's not just gardens. Yeah, it'd just be nice to actually make each parcel is like a district, a mini district. So this you can make a small area of wildland or wasteland or something like that, and zone it off and give it a name and attribute it to being not a park, just like rough land, common ground or whatever. So I think it'd be nice to move away from the grid system into a more alive map, a map where, I mean, we can draw in boundary lines now, and we do, but it is only an imaginary line. It is only a detailer's line, and it'd be nice if it was actually part of the game. So anyway, there is that. So yeah, that also works more in towards where I said earlier I'd like more immersive realism. I think that makes for more immersive realism. Next point, I want to read 6.6 is mixed use zoning. Yeah, you knew that one was coming, didn't you? At the moment, we have residential or commercial or industrial or something else. My brain's gone. Office, indeed, which is obviously a form of industrial, non-polluting industrial. I'd like to see different grades. For a start, obviously you've got the mixed use commercial residential, where you have residential above commercial properties, that kind of thing. We see that a lot around the world. And then in terms of industrial, why do any industrial buildings that I build always pollute? Why? There are industries out there that don't pollute. Now, I know green cities and stuff like that. I get DLC, yep. But as part of the base game, I like to see things like, you know, we were introduced to warehouses in the Industries DLC, but having, even if it's just a generic without it being part of a Industries DLC scenario, just having assets that are industries but non-polluting. So you could have like warehouses, you could have small like gadget factories, that sort of thing, that just don't have any pollution at all. Of the factories where you just get people putting things into bags, you know, there's no pollution in there. It's just a bagging factory, you know. So anyway, I'd like to see something like that, where there are different grades of industry, different grades of commercial. In terms of commercial, it'd be nice to be able to have the out-of-town big warehouse shopping centres, shopping malls. Yes, I know the shopping mall in the base game. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, but it's not really a shopping mall, is it? It's not. So I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see a way of putting together your own shopping mall. There's an idea for DLC, by the way, guys. To be able to put together a bunch of different shops and then close them and encase them into a unit that becomes a shopping mall in itself. I'm thinking. Okay. Right. Next one. Where are we now? 0.7, something like that. Water. This is a short one, guys, and all map makers out there will be clapping and applauding. Water, which acts like water. That's all I'm going to say. Next one. I'm moving on from water. That's all I'm going to say. Pipes and power. Now, one of the most annoying things in the base game is putting down pipes to cover the roads, make sure everything's got water. You miss a corner, it's flashing, you wonder why they're dying, you wonder why they're thirsty, because they can't go around to the neighbours to get a cup of water from the neighbours. It's dumb. So what I'd like to see is the pipes and the power tied into the road network. The thing is, if you're putting down a road, you're usually putting pipes underneath it. You don't just normally build a road. You build a road and you put down the pipes and you put down maybe power lines alongside it. And so I'd like to see that. I mean, we've got a great, certainly with the power, the electric roads mod. I can't remember who made it. I'm just ad-libbing here at the moment. That's a great mod because effectively it's what we do anyway. So it'd be nice to have maybe ways of, if we're going to be talking about playing a vanilla style game, going up through the levels, unlocking things, having different levels of power lines, for example. So when you start the game up, it will put in the overground power lines. And then when you upgrade the roads, you can, and you've unlocked them, you can have maybe the underground power cables. And so that's, I'll get more to the upgrading of roads in a moment. I've got a point about those in a moment. But yes, having the power lines and the pipes tied into the road so we don't have to faff about with them. You know, why is everybody going hungry over the road? Oh, the power doesn't quite reach there. But there's a road connecting them. Why did they not think to put, well, why did I not think to put a power line across? Then you put the power line across and the power jumps and then you delete the power line 5 minutes later because you don't need it anymore. It's annoying. So, and it always was. So yes, I'd like to see the power and the water tied into the road networks automatically. So we don't need to worry about it. We still need to worry about producing it and maybe pumping it and drawing it, making sure there's enough water. All those things, yeah. Putting down the pipes. Save nodes, for God's sakes. Anyway, pipes and power. Now, this one, I would like... this is a good... Right, okay, so we've got a fully immersive game now. right? Realism is excellent. We have got beautiful mixed-use zonings. We've got a system, a proprietary system where the game is built upon that allows us to do pretty much anything with a decent-sized computer. And then we have a mod that we can go into first-person mode. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if we could go into first-person mode GTA style? Grand Theft Auto. Not saying go around cause havoc in your city. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm suggesting instead of just dropping down and having a camera that just like moves around at ground level. No, I want to be able to maybe get into a car and drive a car. Maybe have my own car. Maybe one of the buildings in the game is your home. You assign it to be in your home. Yes, it's the palace on the top of the hill, or in my case, the Essential Lighthouse on the Bonbon Island. Yes, and then you get in the car, and then you drive from there, and then you maybe can get out and get onto a ferry. And it'd be nice if you could actually explore your city properly, rather than just looking at it from afar, as in the base game, or in first-person kind of floaty mode, where you are 12 feet tall because the game camera is a bit too high. And so anyway, yeah, that would add extra immersion for me. I think that would be amazing once everything else is in place, to be able to go into street level. Imagine the street view images, the screenshots we would get from street view. I'm not saying to go into buildings, by the way. I think that is pushing it a step too far at this point in the early 20th century. Maybe another 15 to 20 years we'll all have PCs that will be able to render absolutely everything in the game, and AI will be controlling all of our lives. Okay, next one. We're getting this is for me. I'm getting to my long notes now, so I'm kind of going to have to sort of semi-read them while I'm while I'm waffling to you guys. But this next one is for me quite a big one. Okay, so this is like a map maker's channel. It is effectively. I try and cover everything else, but this is all about the maps. And being a map maker, getting hold of the terrain height maps has been a hit and miss thing. We've had some great websites over the years, and every now and then they become unreliable. I'm talking Terrain Party, and at the time of recording, the two main websites we've been using are kind of down. And so we're using a Splinter website that is a clone of one of the old websites, and that's fine. That's fine. It works fine. I'll try to remember to link it into the description. If it's not there, stick something in the comments and I'll find it and stick it into the description. It's a busy time. So yes, what I'd like to see in the map editor, because I'm pretty sure there will be a map editor in Cities Skylines 2, is a way to directly import height maps into the game from within the game. So like Terrain Party built into Cities Skylines 2. So we can scroll around the world. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's going to cost Paradox a few quid to have access to the height maps and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure that they'll be able to afford it with a game that is going to be as successful as Cities Skylines 2. It's going to make them millions. So yeah, I think a direct height map importer into the map editor, and it saves us worrying about using third-party websites, relying on other people to be able to import a decent height map, because the game allows you to import a height map. So why is it so hard to get them? That's all I'm saying. Right, okay, let me just read this sort of... I'm gonna read what these were all notes I made whilst at work here. So, Sandbox, Plop and Play, and real-time modes. What was I saying there? Oh, right. Yes, I remember now. Right, so I'd like that... We kind of got it now with mods, allowing us to play in a Plop and Play mode. A lot of us actually only play in that mode, because once you've played through the scenarios, the vanilla style game, you've got your zoning, you've got your why am I explaining it to you? You've played vanilla. Okay, once you've done that, you then move along to going onto the workshop, finding things like Plop the Growables and Ploppable Rico, and find it, and then you're choosing exactly what buildings you want in what part of your city. And so it'd be nice if that became easier to do via a plop and play mode within the game, so rather than having things zone in. But when I said about a real-time mode, now I know there's a real-time mod, and again, that would be tied into the more immersive realism I was talking about earlier. It'd be nice if that was built in. It was a more immersive realism, real-time way of playing the game, kind of slowing the game down, I guess. But also, I'm talking about city planning. Because at the moment, when we build the city, again, plop and play mode, ignore that, carry on. Plop and play mode is exactly how we're doing things now, okay? Anybody who uses mods. You put down the road, you put down the building, it's there. Doesn't matter if it works or not, because at the end of the day, we just want a pretty city. Yeah, if you've got good flow in traffic, that's something to brag about. But pretty much, plop, play, go. With my real-time idea, what I'm thinking about is like a planning overlay. It's kind of like the map would go into like a slightly opaque blue, like almost like a blueprint kind of mode. Don't want a proper blueprint mode because that makes it difficult to visualize exactly what you're doing. And then to draw out the roads as you want them, and maybe zone in the buildings as you want them. And then once you've done all of that, you come out of that mode and click continue, and then your workers will go along and actually build the road. Now, I'm not expecting them to do that in fully real time, because that would make the game completely unplayable. Waiting like a year for a road to be built is ridiculous. But for the road to be built in a slower time, and it doesn't become available until they've finished building it, and then the buildings would then, as they do now, they will spawn in and apparently be built. So basically what I'm wanting the roads to do, sorry about the vehicle going past my window there, I want the roads to do is I want them to grow like the buildings do in Cities Skylines 1, to be able to zone them down, which would mean effectively drawing them out, as we do now, but then once you've drawn it out and click build, the road disappears and it will slowly zone in, and that'll give you a more realistic kind of growth to the city, so you can zone in certain areas. Also, it would allow for planning, and it'd be nice to have sort of a let's say you're going to build the let's call it the Templars district. First name that came to head. So the Templars district, and so you'll have phase 1, and you would set up in your plan, your city building plan, phase 1. And that phase 1 would involve building the main road into the middle of this area. Nothing beyond that. Phase 2, you would then have the little offshoot roads that come out from it. And then phase 3, you would start zoning in some buildings. And so you could actually set for these things to go to build in the specific order that you want them to. Once phase 1, and you can have sort of like if phase 1 is finished, but if phase 1 and 2 are finished, but phase 3 isn't finished, phase 4 can continue. And to be able to sort of like set a plan of actions out, zone an area, and then come back to it in times and see how it's developing. See whether it's actually building. Have they finished building that little side street? And when they do, they're going to start building a little park at the end of the side street because you planned the park. I think that'd be a really neat way of doing it. But of course, it's as an alternative to the plop and play, because we'll all get bored of that in time. We go, oh, for God's sake, I wish they just built the road already. Yes, that will happen. But I think as part of the immersive vanilla experience, I think that would be a great thing to be able to plan that kind of thing. And then things like upgrades to roads. I talked about the road upgrades earlier. So let's say we've got like a cobblestone road. So the game's evolving, and we've now developed tarmac. We've got a tech tree. I don't want a tech tree, but we've now got a tech tree, right? And we want to upgrade this cobblestone road to tarmac. Again, you go into the planning mode, and you would select the road that you want to upgrade. You go into the city town planning department. You'd select that road. You would select to update it for maybe the dates that you want in game, that you want it to be developed. And during that time, that road is closed. They put the signs up at the beginning, at the end of the road. and that road is closed. Or you would put in a way of lane management, so you could have the alternating traffic. It does have a word. Was it contraflow traffic going down the road, and with the little traffic lights allowing traffic from one side then from the other? Yes, it would cause bottlenecks, but so will closing the road completely. But you need to upgrade that road, and maybe you need to upgrade that road with better pipes. And so that's something that I think would add something. Now, I know it's probably way too much micromanagement for some people, in which case I'd like to see added also, and this is still under point 11, we're getting there, we're getting there, still under point 11, is to have an inbuilt AI manager. So that you can say, yes, I'm happy to appoint the upgrading of the roads to the AI manager. You would still control the budget, because otherwise the AI manager would go, yep, that needs upgrading immediately, and you've got no money to pay, I don't know, what do we have to pay? Pay back the loans that we took to build all this stuff, yeah? So you could appoint a budget to the manager, and then the manager would just automate the upgradings of the roads and such for you. But of course, you may want to do it yourself, because then your manager may sort of like close all of your highways all at the same time because AI. Anyway, that's my thought with sandbox and real-time modes. It'd be nice to have both, but I think the real-time mode just to have the more the ability to plan, not just build, not just plop, build the road, it's ready to go. Plan the road, and it evolves from your plan. I mean, and in a matter of minutes. I'm not talking about this taking like an hour or two, but maybe sort of like you plan the road and they start working on it immediately, and it takes a little while for that road to build, and then for everything to zone in around it. I think it'd be quite nice for it to work. It's finding the balance of how slow to make that work, though. That's the thing. Right, my final thing. Okay, Cities Skylines 2. I mentioned larger maps earlier, and everybody would be very excited for larger maps. We build a more realistic, real-size city, because we know everything's like scaled down right now. We got a big city, but it's really kind of like a GTA Los Santos. It's not really as big as Los Angeles, but it's a take on Los Angeles. What we have in our game are takes on real cities, but not necessarily the full city, because the size of the map doesn't allow for it, and of course the limitations of the Unity engine also don't allow for it. So, larger maps. But that then does leave a bit of a problem, in that, remember the original vanilla maps that come with the base game? Remember how brilliant they were? Yes, tongue-in-cheek, I know. They weren't that great. Now, that was on a map that was 81 tiles. What happens if you've got a map which is a multiple of that? I haven't done the maths. Should have done the maths. But a multiple of that. So instead of going 9 by 9, 18 by 18, or 36 by 36, or whatever size. Infinity by infinity. There becomes a point that making a map manually becomes really very awkward. Partly why I was saying about importing Heightmaps earlier. It'd be nice to have an easy way to Heightmap a map in. But a giant map is not going to be good in vanilla. It's not. So it left me thinking, if the map isn't good, and they're not going to be good, they're just not going to be good. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The guys at Colossal Order and Paradox, your vanilla maps are not going to be good based on, if we've got bigger maps, it's going to be hard for anybody. We're talking, I'm looking at the top of the map making community now, where I've spent 70 hours so far, and I'm still working on it on my next map. And I'm making it a really nice map. Hopefully everybody will agree. But I put in a lot of hours. Typically, you can get a decent map out in 20 to 30 hours at the moment. If you multiply the map size by 4, that same 20 to 30 hour map becomes an 80 to 120 hour map. Now, that is fine for a hobbyist like me, but you guys, you've got to make a living. And spending 120 hours on a map for the base game, yeah, of course you should. Of course you should. But you're going to want to do 10 of them, or 12 of them, or whatever, and multiply that all together. That's going to take... So I'm just going to... voice is going. Just mute the mic a second. And I'm back. Sorry about that. So yes, it's not going to be possible for you to put out high standards of maps. I appreciate this. I appreciate it in advance. So here's the thought. If they're not going to be that good anyway, procedural generation. I don't know how you plan this. Maybe it'd be based upon procedural generation based upon existing Heightmaps. But having something like that where it would just you put in a seed and you'll get a map based on, if you there'd be like a hilly set of seeds, a mountain set of seeds, an island set of seeds, and then you sort of like select the category of map that you would like to play on. I'd like to play on an island map, please, with mountains, and then you click the procedural generator, it produces the seed, you've got a map. Whether there'll be trees on it, I don't know how that would work. I'm sure, again, there's a bigger brain out there that could work that one. But procedurally generated maps rather than vanilla maps might be the way forward with mammoth maps. And that's it. That is my wish list for Cities Skylines 2. Some of these will definitely be in Cities Skylines 2, assuming there is a Cities Skylines 2. Some of it will not. And some of it is just me wishing. And some of it I think are really good ideas. In fact, I think all of them are really good ideas because they're my ideas. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know, how off the par am I with this one? Is there anything obvious that I've missed? Because I'm sure there is something obvious that I've missed. And I would agree with you, and I'll add it to my list. My wish list of 12 things will become a list of 50. But again, also, if nothing else, if you stick comments on a video like this, if somebody from Paradox, and I reckon somebody from Paradox will take a quick glance to make sure that I'm not completely slating the company, which I'm not, they're a great company, but somebody from Paradox comes along and looks in the comments and sees your really good idea, maybe that will then be the seed of an idea that will go into the game. So do stick your ideas down below. Right, that's it. It's been way longer than I thought it was going to be. I've been Bombombi. You've been very, very welcome. And I will catch you again very, very soon. How's my city looking? I've no idea. I'm going to be doing this next. I've got no idea how it worked. Thanks for watching.